honor. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's guest. Stuart McLaren is president of the White House Historical Association. Since 2014, Mr. McLaren has led the association's nonprofit and nonpartisan mission to support conservation and preservation at the White House. Under his leadership, the association has greatly expanded in mission reach and impact, fundraising results, educational public programming, and award-winning publications that teach the story of the White House history. Please join me in welcoming our special guest.
Thank you, Jamie, very much. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be with you here this afternoon, and I have three distinguished colleagues with me. Anita McBride in the middle is a member of the White House Historical Association Board of Directors, one of the great leaders that gives governance oversight to our work. And then I have my friends Jonas and Bennett Lee here, who are here from Washington, D.C. Their dad is a colleague of ours, Albert Lee, and we're excited to have them assist in this program this afternoon. Well, as Jamie said, this is an ornament that has existed, the concept of an ornament has existed for 40 years. But backing up to something else that Jamie said, in 1961, President and Mrs. Kennedy came into the White House. And remember, she was only 32 years old when she became First Lady of the United States. And sadly, she was only First Lady for 3 years. But what she put in place during that short amount of time, the items that Jamie mentioned, the Committee for the Preservation for the White House Curator, the White House Historical Association, all of these processes and procedures are exactly what governs historic preservation at the White House still today. Her influence and her legacy in the very substantive and important work of historic preservation is still alive and well. It's embodied in the work that we do every day, working with the White House collaboratively. When you go into those beautiful state floor rooms of the White House and you see furnishings and decorative arts and paintings and objects, in many cases we've been responsible for acquiring those, certainly responsible for maintaining those. When rugs need to be replaced or draperies need to be replaced, that's the White House Historical Association. That's not the federal government. We're nonprofit. We're nonpartisan. We don't have any federal funding at all. What we do with private donations and with the proceeds from this wonderful little ornament is to do a job on your behalf, because the White House is the people's house. And the President and the First Lady that lives there, they're only temporary occupants. And we've had the privilege of working with every President and First Lady since President and Mrs. Kennedy. So 1981 comes along, and Nancy Reagan is First Lady, and somebody has the idea to do an annual Christmas ornament to raise proceeds for us to do our very important work. Well, we were already an organization that had an education mission. We had programs, we published books, we had a magazine that would teach and tell the stories of White House history. But this ornament gave us a new outlet, a new platform to do that. Every ornament, some of you have probably collected them since 1981, has a history booklet that our historians work very hard on, and to tell the story of that particular president and their time in office. And that's what we've done again with this ornament. So we're going to reveal this for you now, and we have friends watching by Facebook Live through the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library site, as well as the White House Historical Association site. So salute all of those people watching on Facebook Live. And now they with you are going to enjoy and celebrate together the 2020 White House Historical Association Christmas ornament featuring President John F. Kennedy. Once we reveal it, I'll tell you a little bit about each of the elements of it. So you guys go ahead and do the front. There we go. And the back. Thank you very much. There we go. Thank you. And here's what it actually looks like. It comes in this little box. The ornament is nestled into a beautiful presidential blue a crush inside, and then there's the history booklet that I told you about that tells you about the Kennedy presidency. And on the front is a beautiful photograph of President and Mrs. Kennedy in front of the Christmas tree in the Blue Room of the White House. Well, let me tell you a little bit about this ornament. And of all the ornaments we've had the privilege of working on to design, this was one of the most difficult because Mrs. Kennedy, being our founder, we wanted it to be very special. With some presidents, we pick an item that tells one story or an anecdote that happened during their 4 or 8 years. But we wanted something that was dignified, presidential, and conveyed the seriousness and importance of this presidency to us as an organization. Incidentally, these ornaments, the ones in the little box, are made by an American-owned small business. It's an American small business in Rhode Island. These are not imported from outside the country somewhere. These are American-made by this same veteran-founded small business in Rhode Island, and they have been since 1981. So with this year's ornament, we picked the iconic portrait by Aaron Schickler that hangs in the cross hall of the White House. I never go into the White House with visitors where people are not standing transfixed on this extraordinary portrait. It was painted after President Kennedy died, and it was intended to portray a presidency unfinished. But let me read you something that Aaron Schickler said, Aaron Schickler, the artist that painted this portrait. He said, "I painted him with his head bowed, not because I think him as a martyr, but because I wanted to show him as a president who was a thinker. All presidential portraits have eyes that look right at you. I wanted to do something with more meaning. I hoped to show a courage that made him humble." And that's what that beautiful portrait painted by Aaron Schickler depicts. Interestingly enough, it's extremely rare, I believe this is the only circumstance, that the portrait artist for the president's portrait, Aaron Schickler, also painted the portrait of Mrs. Kennedy. And it is on the lower level in the Vermeer room and is striking and beautiful. The same artist also painted the portrait of Nancy Reagan when she was First Lady. So a very important portrait artist. The iconic JFK at the top of this front of the ornament is said, we found that in some documents that represent a belt buckle that he had. We wanted a bold JFK that we could put at the top. And then, of course, you have Christmas 2020 at the bottom and the Federal Eagle. On the back of the ornament, once you return it around on the reverse from its little box, this is something that we think is very important. It's a quote by Mrs. Kennedy, our founder, and it says, "The White House belongs to the American people." It's your house. It's not the house of the President and the First Lady that lived there from time to time. It belongs to you. And it's our privilege as the White House Historical Association to represent you in doing this very important work. Mrs. Kennedy envisioned a house that would be a museum that the American people could be proud of. So when kings and queens and presidents and potentates come from all over the world and they walk into that White House, it's something very special. It represents the very best of America. And that's what our responsibility is for you, to keep it the very best. So the proceeds from the sale of this little ornament, and you can get it right here in your shop at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library. Those of you watching by Facebook Live, you can go to our website, whitehousehistory.org/2020, and they're available for sale today, and they will be through Christmas. It makes a wonderful gift, a collector's item, and it's a very special piece of history to learn about the President, this extraordinary library. You're so fortunate to have the resource of the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library. It's a very special place and represents a great American president, and we think a very special First Lady who founded our organization. So this is our ornament, the 2020 White House Historical Association Christmas ornament. We're excited to share it with you. You're the first people in the country that had this ornament available to sell today, and that we're sharing with you in this very special way and telling the story. So thank you very much for being with us. And to my sidekicks, thank you very much for your help today. And go buy your ornaments and buy them for all your friends. Thank you very much.